Hey guys, Paul here. So today I wanted to talk about my thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! And its need for a community manager. Now, I have had this sort of issue with Konami for years, but I don't want this video to come across as just ungrateful or bashing. Because Konami does do a lot of things really well with this game, and I don't want to suggest that, like, they're running it in the ground or killing it or intentionally. And it's not like that. I don't hate Konami. If that's what you're here for. That's not exactly what you're getting. But this is something that I feel is a bit of a criticism that really needs to be addressed. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs a community manager. What is a community manager? Well, in the modern sense, it's basically, lots of different companies that make games, mass multiplayer type games, like I think League of Legends or Overwatch or Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or whatever, will typically have a, social media presence of some kind. It'll usually be like an official brand account that makes announcements, maybe, shares news, maybe shares jokes or interactive posts and stuff with the community. But oftentimes there will be a designated community manager, which is a sort of singular figure or perhaps multiple people. You can find these people usually on Twitter, and they have, I guess, their personal professional account or whatever, and it's an employee of the company, and they interact with players. So their goal in being there is to kind of examine social media, see what the community is talking about, what do people want, what are people's complaints, what are people liking, what would they like to see more of or see changed. And, I suppose in that sense, they are meant to be a liaison or a link from, between the community and the developers or creators of a game. Now, a community manager is not necessarily somebody who has the direct power to change all of these things because, their job might be social media manager, for instance. So it's not like they're designing patches for a game or, doing development, or I guess in like Yu-Gi-Oh's case, they're not making cards or making ban lists, but they are getting a better sense for keeping a finger on the pulse of the community. I think Konami needs one of these. As you guys know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not have this. Right now we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Social media channels, yes. I'm not a big fan of how they're run. It's very bare bones, very minimalistic. I mean, it's just kind of like, this new product is out today, go buy it. Or, here is an update to the Forbidden Unlimited list. And there's like a few other types of posts. I don't want to give them no credit at all. I mean, they certainly have been doing some nice things. They've been doing a lot of giveaways and sweepstakes, which have been really cool. There was the Create a Card contest, which got a little bit heated, but it was a good initiative, so whatever. And of course, they've been doing a little bit more with like remote duel extravaganzas and stuff. So I'm not saying that like it's just a horrible thing, but Konami has never really been a communicative company in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! You can hop on any forum, you can hop on any group or whatever, and you will find plenty of opinions about this game. Here's what needs to be changed. Here's what needs to be fixed. Here's what's wrong with this game. Konami is killing this game, or they're so awful, they're short printing everything. There's plenty of arguments. I'm not saying they're all true. I'm not saying they're all false. I've got loads of criticisms for Konami, but I've got praises for them too. The main thing is people have a lot of different opinions and people want a lot of different things out of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know that Konami knows what like the community kind of is thinking. I'm sure that they are like looking at the social media posts on those accounts, but I just find their implementation to seem so rigid, right? In addition to all the things I said before, where the posts feel kind of robotic and it's just beep boop, here's the info, that's it. There's like no real channel for interaction or like feedback. So, the Konami accounts don't follow any particular players or anything like that. They don't really give any reasonings for things. So, like, when a ban list comes out, much like patch notes in a game, players appreciate when they're told why a certain card was banned or why a certain patch was made. Like, oh, this character got nerfed. Here's how we nerfed this character and here's why. We don't really get a lot of that with Konami. And I think that's what ultimately leads to a lot of the animosity that the player base has towards Konami. Because when you kind of create this wall of silence, it means that players start to fill in their own narrative. They start to just assume, well, Konami just makes the wrong decisions all the time, or they just are doing this to hurt us, or they're just doing this strictly out of greed and money. And I don't think that's necessarily true, but when you don't have any way to, like, I guess, make your concerns heard, that seems like that's the natural consequence, at least that I've observed online. I think Konami has good reason for maybe doing this sort of thing. But sometimes I just think they take it a bit far. Like, for instance, in live streams, chat is disabled, and in YouTube videos, like the Konami Yugioh TCG channel, whatever it's called, comments are disabled, likes and dislikes are disabled. It's like, geez, it feels like, they're just blocking everything out. So, I've gone on long enough about whining about that. What would a community manager for Yu-Gi-Oh look like? I'm thinking this is somebody who, like I said, would be on, Twitter and perhaps some other social platforms, who would ideally interact with players, respond to common complaints. Obviously, I can't necessarily promise that your, Malicivorous deck is going to get support, or that, you'll get your favorite cards all off the ban list tomorrow. But I do think that acknowledging the things that people have to say and maybe giving some short, quick responses would be good. It would also be great if they maybe had a sense of humor. Kind of show that they're a little in touch, right? Share some memes about Pot of Greed or something. I don't know. Let people know that they're aware of the top tier decks at the time, or maybe the cards that people sort of like or dislike. I think a bit of self-awareness would go a long way. I also think that perhaps, I know this gets tricky, but perhaps even just a direct feedback portal. Yes, I know you can email Konami, like the organized play email. I don't know if they read that stuff. I mean, I guess they have to read it, but I don't know that they necessarily, how that works. I don't think that that's a great way of letting people feel that they've been heard, though, as much as a community manager would be. That would all be great stuff. I mean, I just think like somebody who you can put kind of a face to it, that would be good. However, there's certainly some downsides, and I do want to cover those. The Yu-Gi-Oh community is outspoken, and they've got lots of beliefs. Lots of people are very opinionated. You can hop on a Facebook group or two, a Discord server or two, anywhere, and find people who are they're not holding their punches, right? Like, people get angry at each other, people get angry at Konami, people get angry at themselves. I don't know. There's loads. A community manager would probably have their work cut out for them. Community managers for other games already have to deal with these problems. Huge amounts of harassment from people, because it's the internet. People are like anonymous, and they're going to spam them. They're going to send them the worst things. They're going to insult them, call them terrible names, and they're just gonna be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? They're gonna be angry. They're going to associate a lot of their malcontent with the game, with this person, and I feel bad for that person. I wouldn't envy that person's job. I think that, especially in the early implementation of like a community manager, for assuming that it would happen, this person's probably gonna it'll be nasty. I say this as a YouTuber. I read comments about myself, my friends, my channel, my content. It's terrible things. I mean, it can hurt. It's pretty brutal. It's not for the thin-skinned, and even if someone has thick skin, that doesn't mean that they should have to deal with it at all. People should be able to, separate the person from like their job, and but they won't. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh players. You guys remember what happened when that remote duel server, the very first one, opened like last April or May or whatever, and they opened this Discord server for remote duels, and they had like a feedback section, and people were spamming memes and obscenities and just, everything. The floodgates go down and players rush out and just overwhelm. I think, though, that a lot of that happens because of the silence. I think because Konami has been so kind of rigid and so silent for so many years, it causes that tension to rise, and whenever there's an opening, people are gonna just kind of push. So I think that if Yu-Gi-Oh were to have a community manager and be able to kind of have a person that is that face and is that connection point with players, it would be beneficial, but the early days of it especially would be rough. I don't know a solution to that. I think that it might just have to be a trial by fire where, we do it and it kind of gets bad, but then it's like if they put up too many walls to protect said person, then it might just feel like, I don't know. It's a tough call. But I do think, ultimately, at the end of the day, this game would be a little bit better off with more of an effort on the communications front. It's gotten a little better in recent years. I don't want to deny that. They've worked with content creators a bit. Like I said, there's the creator card poll. There's been, the remote duel things. They've been streaming some of them. There's lots of neat stuff that they've been doing. It's all fine. I just think that a more direct kind of face with a human voice and feel would go a long way in making people's opinions feel heard. And while there would be some downsides and early growing pains, ooh, I'm rethinking this already. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. I think that it would be really helpful. What do you guys think? Let me know. How should this be best implemented? What do you think the response and reception would be? Would it be warranted? I don't know. I already have very mixed thoughts. Just after doing this video, I kind of think like there might... Alright, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think Konami and Yugioh could use it, but it won't be easy.